Last Friday, the high school in Santa Fe, Texas, became the 288th school to have a shooting in this country since 2009. Just some perspective. Consider the other numbers right there on your screen. During that same time period, Mexico had 8 school shootings. Russia, Germany, Greece, China each had 1. 288 begs the question, why so many school shootings in the U.S.? Well, the lieutenant governor of Texas has blamed a lot of things for this shooting, except guns. Among the reasons, violent video games, kicking God out of school. Here's more of what Dan Patrick says could be responsible for so many shootings in this country.
There aren't enough people to put a guard at every entrance and exit. Had there been one single entrance possibly for every student, maybe he would have been stopped. Gun control, I believe, starts at home, George. Every person who owns a gun must be accountable for their guns at home. We don't know all the facts yet, but this particular young man got his guns in some way from his parents' home. You should have your guns locked up. We need our teachers to be armed. When you're facing someone who's an active shooter, the best way to take that shooter down is with a gun. But even better than that is 4 or 5 guns to 1. Should we be surprised in this nation? We have devalued life, whether it's through abortion, whether it's the breakup of families, through violent movies, and particularly violent video games.
The incoming president of the NRA is weighing in with reasons of his own, including the drug Ritalin.
And the disease in this case isn't the Second Amendment. The disease is youngsters who are steeped in a culture of violence. They've been drugged in many cases. Nearly all of these perpetrators are male, and they're young teenagers in most cases. And they've come through a culture where violence is commonplace. All we need to do is turn on a TV, go to a movie. If you look at what has happened to the young people, many of these young boys have been on Ritalin since they were in kindergarten. Now, I am certainly not a doctor, I'm a Marine, but I can see those kinds of things happening.
Okay. Texas's Governor Greg Abbott ordered a moment of silence across the entire state to honor the 10 lives lost Friday morning. 8 students, 2 teachers, more than a dozen others were wounded. So let's go to Nick Valencia, who's live for us this afternoon in Santa Fe, and just really focusing on these victims. Nick, tell me about them.
Well, I should start by saying in a rare request from the FBI in Houston, they've asked the media to give the family and friends of these victims privacy. It is worth noting as well, Brooke, that the friends and family I've spoken to are asking for the same. But in the hours after the shooting, I was able to talk to the niece of Cynthia Tisdale. She is the longtime substitute teacher, a full-time substitute teacher at Santa Fe High, who was killed here, murdered on Friday. She leaves behind a husband and children. I also talked to Aiden Gomez, who was a friend of Chris Stone. He was on the varsity football team, a team that is, in all intents and purposes, just the pride and joy of Santa Fe. And Chris Stone, from what I'm told by Aiden, was the pride and joy of his team. There was also Sabika Sheikh, a 17-year-old Pakistani exchange student who came here on a scholarship, just so excited to attend school in America, only to be gunned down here Friday morning. And then in perhaps the most emotional interview that we've had here this week, an interview with the mother of Shayna Fisher. Shayna Fisher was, according to her mother, harassed by this alleged gunman for at least 4 months. He tried desperately to become her boyfriend, and as his advances became more aggressive, it was last week, according to her mom, that she stood up. She had enough. She stood up in the middle of class, calling him out, rejecting his advances, embarrassing him in front of his classmates. And that's why her mother thinks she was targeted.
My daughter was going up to my mother or telling my mom for the past 4 months and my brother that he had been making advances on her, and that she finally stood up to him because her younger sister was being bullied in school, and she was showing her, look, this is what you do. You got to stand up to him and tell him that, no, it's not right. And this is the outcome.
8 students and 2 teachers, 10 victims in all, 10 names that are now added to a list of those killed in yet another mass shooting in America. Brooke.
Nick, thank you.